Dear Earth, today is the 15th of February 2026, and we live in quite an interesting world, don't we? I am seeing so much polarization, and I think the polarization in some ways is a good thing because we are speaking up and breaking down the chains that have held us back, and we are saying no, and we are saying what we will and will not accept, and we are tearing down the old world of humanity, which was class-based, which was power dynamic based, and which was greed based. And we are seeing people and masses and society stepping up and saying no, like this is not what we want anymore. But in the polarization, there is a force that is using this to push us against each other. And some of us are attacking each other in ways that are not constructive, that create another conflict and polarization. So from one polarization, we go to another. And I have never seen the conversations we're having in the world today in my entire lifetime. And us talking about the impacts that our experiences do have on us, what is okay or not okay, and particularly when it comes to women, to minorities, to the environment. And I can't work out whether it's always been like this and we're now having the conversation for the first time, and we have the technology to share these messages, or whether society is really decaying. And I'm going to say it's the latter, because I think my beautiful dear Earth, many of us have lost our moral compass. We have lost our sense of what is right and wrong. And we are living in a world that encourages us to think of ourselves, to think of me first, and to live in our little world and our little head and our little bubble, and to blame people for what's happened to them, that they brought it on themselves. And it's very overwhelming. The polarization is very overwhelming. So I have cocooned myself, I have turned off the news, I have unfollowed accounts on social media, I barely look at social content, and I have been living in the beauty of my own little bubble. I have been walking and hiking in nature, I've been swimming in the ocean every day, I go to the ocean twice a day, and I spend more time in prayer and connection to the divine. And for some time that worked. It worked really well. Until it didn't, because the polarization came knocking on my door into my personal life, and the thrashing of one human against another has now entered my world. And I am being forced to stand up, to speak up, to assert myself, and to express justice. And justice is a divine virtue. Justice is necessary in our world because it brings everything back to its original balance, back to the way it was meant to be. Nature is in perfect balance. You can remember chaos theory, but in the chaos, it's actually perfect. Everything has its role, everything is interdependent. But in the human world, we haven't found that balance, and we need to come back to that, which means we need to rebuild the world. We need to understand, how do we bring a spiritual expression to a political system, an economic system, an education system, a medical system? What does a spiritual foundation look like? What does a holistic foundation look like? What is the purpose of money? So in these beautiful moments where I am being so deeply tested in my life, I always remember why I'm here. And oh, beautiful, beautiful Earth, you are a perfect mirage and matrix of the real world, and the real world is a spiritual world. And the more that I remember that, the more that I remember the spiritual world is a real world, and we are in a dream, we are in this shadow, it helps me to remember that my first anchor is to the beloved, the one who made me. And to remember that my life is temporary, and I'm here to make choices, and I'm here to express the spirit within me. and I'm not alone. And then I remember the angels. And what's amazing about angels is they are just humans who have lived in this world and passed on. They are us. They are humans that lived thousands of years ago and who made choices that enabled them to reach their full spiritual potential. And the angels are watching over us. They are watching Earth. They are guiding us. They're supporting us. They're helping us. That gives me so much strength and comfort in these times. And it also brings me back home to remember my purpose. My ultimate destiny is to return home to the beloved, to the one who's created me. That is a daily practice. And the second is to navigate this crazy matrix we call life on Earth from a spiritual lens. And that can include standing up for justice. That can include turning my phone off and meditating. That can include reaching out to a friend or a colleague who is having a tough time. That can include working hard on a Sunday on my business. I get to choose because I have free will. What a blessing that we have choice. We have been given this beautiful wild ride called life on Earth. And this is not a talk about disassociation. This is about integration. This is about leaning in. So I want to invite you, as you see the polarization happening in this world, to remember that we are deeply interconnected with each other and we are interdependent with each other, and we all have a role to play. We all have a mission in this beautiful life. This reminds me of these beautiful words from Baha'u'llah, and I love reading his writings because every time I read them, I get a new message, a new understanding, and the more that I refine myself and polish my heart, the more I can see, the more my inner eye opens to truth. And it's a completely individual experience, but so divine. And he's not here with us anymore in a physical sense, but he is absolutely watching over us, which is so beautiful. And he says that all things must needs have a cause, a motive power, an animating principle. These souls and symbols of detachment have provided and will continue to provide the supreme moving impulse in the world of being. These souls and symbols of detachment, they are us, my friend. We provide the moving impulse in the world of being. Everything in the world that we see is generated through us. And the more we connect to that divine grid, to the beloved, the more power we exert. And we exert power not just in this physical world, we exert power in the spiritual worlds and in all the physical worlds in existence. This is not the only universe, my friend. And there are many worlds, spiritual and physical. How beautiful is that? And that the arts, innovation, growth, and consciousness, it comes from us. It comes from each other. It is from the souls who are detached and who are most connected to the divine beloved. We are not meant to work in isolation, my friend. We are simply meant to remember who we really are and to return home. And we can only do that when we build that heart-to-heart connection with the beloved. And so in times of chaos and polarization in the world, and when that polarization comes knocking on my door, and I have to face it and address it, that makes me so much more determined to remember my relationship with the beloved and who I really am, and the spiritual power within me and the spiritual force within me, and why I am here, and to detach from this physical, material, temporary world of dust and remember my true destiny. And my friend, you too have a destiny. It is time to open your beautiful eyes and see the truth of who you really are. you.